Thank you and good evening. I'd like to thank the Leadership Institute for putting together this brilliant and visionary program. This evening, we celebrate the civil rights movement, past, present, and future. Many of you know about the historic civil rights movement, the struggle of brave women and men of uncommon courage who fought against the structure of racialized inequality known as Jim Crow segregation. Many of you know and have seen the photographs, the black and white films of the demonstrations in the nation's capital and across this country challenging Jim Crow. Restaurants, restrooms, schools, buses. For a century in this country, despite the passage of laws, despite the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution that followed the Civil War, the fundamental conflict in American history, people of African descent were still defined as second-class citizens in the nation of their birth. The civil rights struggle was a struggle that defined an entire generation of people of conscience in this country. And yet, there is another struggle that must be waged. It is a struggle against racialized injustice in the 21st century. It is a struggle that must be waged in an environment where the white and colored signs that I knew as a child growing up in the 1960s, indicating racialized inequality between black and white, have been taken down. But our colorblind racism of the 21st century, our colorblind racism today, is an unholy trinity of mass unemployment, mass incarceration, and mass disenfranchisement. Mass unemployment. There are masses of people in this country, a land of affluence, who are denied opportunity and access to full employment. A study was released a year ago in the community where I live, in Harlem, in Manhattan, where 1/2 of the adult male labor force in my community is unemployed or underemployed as of 2005. Recently, there were statistics that showed that for black males, for young black men in their 20s, there are more black men today who are in prison than those black men who have jobs. Mass unemployment inevitably leads to mass incarceration. 1/3 of all prisoners were unemployed at the time of their arrests. Others averaged less than $20,000 annual income in the year prior to their arrest. We had in this country 30 years ago 300,000 people in prison. Today the number is 2.2 million. The total number of Americans who are either on probation, parole, or awaiting trial, or in prison is 6.5 million. Nearly 1/2 of them are men and women of African descent. When you're talking about that kind of mass incarceration in state after state, it leads to mass disenfranchisement. In 10 states, for those who are convicted of a felony, you lose the right to vote for life. In 35 other states, you temporarily lose the right to vote once you leave prison while you are on parole or probation. So you're talking about millions of people who pay taxes in this country and are denied the one thing that defines citizenship, the right to vote. We live in a time where civil rights and civil liberties are being eradicated left and right. What do we do about it? We need to learn the lessons of the past in order to create a new future. We need to understand the courage, the uncommon courage of women and men who struggle to change the way things are, fighting for a democracy that never was, but must become reality for the future. And one of the brothers who was at the forefront of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, one of the brothers who sacrificed millions of dollars, sacrificed everything he had in order to make sure that justice could be won for people of African descent in this country, is our guest this evening. Richard Dick Claxton Gregory was born poor in a single-parent household in St. Louis, Missouri on October the 12th, 1932. One of 6 children, Dick's mother worked hard as a maid in addition to the small amount of public assistance that their family received. The Gregory household went without the bare necessities, even electricity, for weeks at a time. As Dick's poverty and the condition of his family made him frequently the object of teasing and scorn by neighbors and by people in the community, Dick learned that the best way to fight back is to use humor. Dick learned the use of humor as a way to disarm his opponents. And for over 80 years, Brother Dick Gregory has been using the tool of humor most effectively to disarm just about every enemy of the freedom struggle you can name. Sisters and brothers, I would like to invite you to stand up and give applause to a living legend, Dick Gregory. Pretend that it's just the two of us having a conversation.
I can't do that. I got caught in that rain and my underwear wet.